I was going to come on here today and address me not getting into America. It is quite a funny story. Me in America, we're like besties. We're like exes, we're like toxic exes, really. Frenemies, if you will. And now we can't see each other. But the story why I was banned from there is a more complex one. Right, guys. Welcome to another episode of Dream On Pod with me, your host, Lottie. Today, I'm feeling under the weather, I can't lie. If things couldn't have got worse from last week, I know last week I came on and I was moaning about the fact that I had a fucking infection in my gums, which, by the way, little update, still hasn't gone away. I'm on my second round of antibiotics, so we absolutely love that. And then now I have, earlier this week, either contracted norovirus or food poisoning. I'm not sure which one. I had a chicken ramen and then all went tits up from there. So, so I'm currently feeling very out of sorts. That's why I've got my sunglasses on and I'm literally under the sheets. I haven't gone under the sheets in a while. It feels like whenever I go under the sheets, I do more of a deep dive into my life. Like I feel like I talk more about my life, like deeper when I'm under the sheets. It feels more personal. But yeah, I'm very susceptible to the light. The illness that I contracted earlier this week, I can only describe as a demon erupting inside of my stomach, an otherworldly entity entering my body and ruining it. It was literally, I'm not joking, guys, I literally thought I was going to die. And I had my friend come over and call every person she knew and ask whether we could get a fucking on-call doctor at 2 a.m. to come over, because I'm not joking, it was terminal, guys. It was so bad. Like when you just don't stop throwing up, it was literally like my head was in the toilet and I was like crying tears and the tears were going into the toilet bowl. I was just like, I just really thought it was never going to end. Yeah, I'm back and I'm really proud of myself, like actually just like getting on with my life, because normally I'm such a pussy when it comes to illnesses. Like I'm like, can't do it. I feel sick. But it does help when you get to do your podcast from the comfort of your bed. I mean, this isn't actually my bed. I know this is going to be a shocker for you guys, but this isn't actually the bed that I sleep in. This is my work bed. So this is my life right now, by the way, guys. I literally leave my bed. This has been for me for the last 2 weeks of filming. I've left my bed, got ready, come here, got back into bed. I can't not be in bed at the moment. I haven't like gone out or anything. I've just been ruined. It's just been, because I feel like I'm such a hypochondriac when I get ill as well. Like I make it everyone else's business, everyone else's problem. Like it's just, but yeah, I was going to come on here today and address me not getting into America, because it is quite a funny story. And me in America, we're like besties. We're like exes, we're like toxic exes, really. Frenemies, if you will. We've had a long history. We've had some good times together. We've had some horrendous times together. And now we can't see each other. Like, we're not allowed to see each other. I'm not allowed. Like, it's like we're blocked from every platform. It's actually really funny. Like, I started going to America when I was like 15, I think. I went for the first time for a PacSun job. I started doing collaboration with PacSun and I met this model, Luca, Sabat, shout out Luca, you're a legend. And we literally just got along so well, and he ended up taking me out to this nightclub there that's called, it's not there anymore as well, which is so sad. It's called One Oak. And like, I'm sure everyone's seen like the memes of it or like heard about it. If you've been to LA or you like live in LA, you just like know One Oak. Like One Oak it was just like an iconic club. And if anyone's seen that picture of Kris Jenner where she's like with a drink in her hand, that's from One Oak. So it's just a really iconic place. And I remember I went there at like, I think I was like literally 16 years old. Don't know how I got in. I went in through the back. Some older guys just let me in. They're like, hey, come on. It's pretty seedy out there, I can't lie, with that kind of shit. And I just got in. I was like, hee, my first time in LA. And I remember my clothes were so shit as well, because obviously I was so young. Like, I hadn't really discovered like fashion yet. So I remember like Luca, bless him, he was like, come to my hotel room. So I went to his hotel room and he dressed me for the occasion, which is so sweet. Like, he didn't say like, you look shit, but now like looking back, I'm like, I definitely looked like I was out of like a fucking like a bad Abercrombie and Fitch Hollister catalogue. Like, it was just not vibes. And yeah, I had the time of my life. But I was so shocked because the club closed at literally 1:00. And I was like, this is when it's meant to be getting started. Like, this is when things are meant to be heating up. But yeah, and then I kept going there for work, and I just fell in love with it. I remember the first time I fell in love with it properly was like, I was going to the airport leaving, and I saw the sunset, and like, if anyone's ever been there or like lived there, or you whatever, it's just the sunsets are like, and you can't even describe them, like, so beautiful. And the palm trees with the sunset, it just looks stunning. Like, and I think I saw that, and I just, like, something clicked in my brain. I was like, I have to live here. And I ended up like living there on and off for years. Like, I would go there for like 6 months out of the year. So I do like 3 months there, 3 months here, or like a few months there, a few months, you know, in London. I never like fully committed, I think, because I'm so British and I love like my British people, and I don't think I could have gone without hearing like a British voice, because when I used to go out there weren't that many British people out there. I think now people have clocked on to the whole like LA influencer thing, but back when I was going there, like, wasn't as such thing as influencers. It was literally just like there weren't any influencers when I was going out there. It was literally just like famous people, and famous people was like relatives which was me. I think I had a very easy time going there, and I wouldn't recommend going there if you don't, like, genuinely, if you're not like a hot girl, if you don't have clout, money, or power, don't bother. I'm being dead serious. It's just not going to be fun. Like, and like, unless you're like rich, hot, or like powerful and successful, like, it's just no point in going out there, because you won't have the full experience. Like, I went out there, luckily, me being Kate Moss's sister, I had a fucking free ride. I was like, hey, and I didn't really realize it at the time, but now it makes so much sense, because like everyone would text me when I like started meeting people out there, going out and meeting people. I got in with a really good crowd, and everyone was great, and we all had so much fun. But like, now I look back, I'm like, oh, like, they all liked me because of who I was. Like, I had such an easy ride because of my link to Kate. I think if you're out there and people know that you're somebody, they just treat you differently, and it sucks, but it's just how it is out there. And I think it still is. Like, I haven't been there, obviously. Like, we'll get to this, but I haven't been out there for a few years. But I think it's just like one of those places that you just need an in. Otherwise, you know, you can't have that much of a good time. I don't know. Maybe if you go to like other places in LA, because there's so many different places. Like, it's not just like Hollywood, like West Hollywood vibes. There is so many other places, and I'm sure like if you go out there with like a group of your friends and like go have a good time. But like, for men, genuinely, like, don't bother. Like, if you think you're gonna go out there and get bitches, there's like a group of guys from the UK who like are going out there, like staying at like an average ass hotel with no money. Like, you're not gonna find bitches out there, because you need like at least like, you know, thousands to get a table at a club. You need like at least thousands to like be going anywhere good. And like the real shit goes down at the after parties, because the clubs don't stay open very long. The clubs are open till like 1. So you really do need links, because the after parties are where it's at, and the after parties you only get invited to if you know people. And I realized that being out there, like, I went to some crazy after parties. I'm telling you, like, I once went to, and I literally briefly spoke about, I think I did speak about this actually, like, where I went to Dan Bitzarian's, and I had to sign an NDA to go in. Sorry, Dan, but I'm spilling the beans now. I just don't give a fuck. Come for me if you will. But it was nuts. Like, there was like bowls of condoms around, like naked girls walking around. To be fair, it was a lingerie party. But like, it was just bizarre. Like, I remember like you'd go to like an after party, it was like Diplo's like playing, or like, I remember I went to one, I actually had to sign an NDA for this one as well. It was actually a friend of mine, and he used to have the craziest after parties. And like, what happens in LA is like, there'll be a certain person, if you're in this like West Hollywood crew, there'll be a certain person that like hosts the after party for a while. So there'll be like a few months where like one person will always have the after party, like after whatever you go to, whether it's like a concert, a basketball game, whatever, they're always hosting the after party after it, and it will be at their big fat mansion, and it's like the Escalades pulling up. It is so LA. And one time I remember, like, he used to always host the afters, and sometimes it was like kind of just like rogue and we just go there, and then sometimes it was like a pre-planned party. And there was one, and I think it could have been my friend's like S&M one. So he hosted a friend's S&M party where everyone dressed up in like gags, like sexy lingerie. It was always like that type shit, like where you see it in the films, it actually is kind of like that. He had this like insane house, like 5 cars, huge house, like red like carpet with a disco ball, like, and I remember seeing Drake there, and I was low-key freaking out. I was like looking around like, oh my god, Drake's here. Everyone's like, whatever. Like, this is the thing with some LA girls, they'll act so fucking unfazed about like shit like this. They'll be like, okay, like Drake's gonna be there, like whatever, like, and I'm like, low-key, you think it's cool, like I know you do. There's this TikToker that I'm absolutely obsessed with, and she does these parodies of LA girls.
We're going to Delight tonight.
I need to find her because she is so funny. Like, she does all these parodies of like how LA girls talk, where they're like, are you going to party later? And it so is how LA, like when I used to go out, it would be like, so are we going to town and then we're going to party? And this is how it is, genuinely. And I don't even know if it's like that anymore because I haven't been there in such a long time, but like that was like genuinely it. It was like you'd go for dinner before at 10 p.m. at Tao or some other restaurant, and like, yeah, dinner at 10 p.m. Like, I'd be fucking falling asleep at these dinners. Like you don't go out to the club until 12, and then the club closes at like 1. So you'd like have like an hour in the club. But like, yeah, you'd go to the dinner. It would be you, like a few guys, and then like 20 bitches around the table. And all these girls, like, you pretty much don't know. You get to know them after a while because you're always at the same shit. And then you'd go to a club where they'd be like a whole other group of people. It was just a bizarre situation that I was going out at like 18, 19 years old, to be honest. And it's crazy because the drinking age out there is like 21 and the club age out there is 21, but I was managing to get into all these places at the ripe age of fucking 17. I just feel like it wasn't very strict, especially not like I think the after parties I went to when I was a little bit older, I would say. But I had some crazy nights in LA. Like, it feels like a bit of a dream now because I used to spend like 3 months there, and then I'd come back here and it felt like this is real life. Like, here is real life. London is real life. Out there was just like playtime fun. Like, it was just like, ew, like unicorns and rainbows. Like, the craziest shit we would do. Like, we would like go just randomly to like a restaurant where like everyone out there like doesn't really work, so it feels like all like kind of like young adults just playing like fun time. You just be like, should we go to this pool party, and like and then we'll go to this person's house, and everyone's driving around in these like expensive ass like cars, and everyone's driving as well because there's valet everywhere, so you're just like driving around like West Hollywood, just like, should we go here, should we go there, should we go shopping? It feels so surreal out there. It's not like here where it just feels like dull and dingy. Like, shit out there is just done to a different spec. And like, I remember I went to an after party once where there was like bouncers at each, like, this guy had an after party. He literally just invited, he was like 19. He was like, does everyone want to come back to mine? And I was like, yeah, 100%. Obviously, I'll take the fucking opening of an envelope at that point. And we go to his house, and there's a bouncer at the door. Then he has a bouncer at each piece of like artwork and like each door and stuff. It was so weird. I was like what am I living in? And I think also like the people that you meet in these places are just so crazy. Like, I had run-ins with, and I don't even know if I'm like actually allowed to use these people's names, so we might have to blur this out, but like the first time I ever met at one of these like rogue ass, was it no, it wasn't actually, I met him at a concert, but I didn't even know who he was, and my friend was like, oh, we're gonna go to this guy's show. This is how it is in LA. Someone goes, hey, so do you want to come to this with me, blah, blah, and you're like, yeah, sure. Like, you have no idea what you're in for, especially me, like coming from like, you know, like Haywards Heath, like random place in Sussex, like lived in London for a bit. Like, I was doing modelling and stuff, and I was doing surreal stuff with that, but this felt surreal on a different level because it was so casual. And my friend was like, yeah, do you want to come to this concert with me tonight? And I was like, yeah, sure. We end up going to this concert. She doesn't even like, she tells me who it is, but she tells me his like his real name, and I didn't know that was his real name, if that makes sense. And we go to this concert, and it's just like fucking like, sorry, like, where are we? And my friend's like, yeah, this is Lottie. Like, we like end up hanging out with him all night, and we end up then going to this place called the Roxy, which is really famous bar that used to be like a huge hit with people like Motley Crue and people like that, like proper like famous bands would go there back in the day, and it's kind of seedy and a bit like rockery, and it was like the spot for a bit where people would go and like get drunk. And this is another thing as well, like in LA there's like different spots each like few months. There'll be like it is with Afterparties, there'll be like a different club or a different like bar that's the vibe at the time. And at this point it was the Roxy, and we would go there, and we went there with him and we plugged his music in. I'm not even fucking shitting you. It was me, her and him and like his friends or whatever, and like of all people. And like imagine me, I'm like getting fucked up, and I remember offering like alcohol at one point, and he was like, oh yeah, like I don't. And I was like, sick one, like ground swallow me up. And we're like plugging his music, and the DJ is like standing there. He's like, can I plug my music in? And he was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Plugging his music, and we're like dancing around this place. There's like 10 of us in there. And then we end up going back to his afterwards in the hills with like a bunch of people. And then, like, how embarrassing is this, by the way? Like, I thought this was so sick at the time. We end up going back to his house. We're downstairs. Like, his bedroom was upstairs. So as you walk into his house, it's like his bedroom's there. And then you go down this, like, big staircase. And that's where, like, the main level is. Like, a lot of houses in LA are built kind of weirdly. Like, where it's, like, there'll be, like, the basement will be, like, the kitchen. And then, the living room will be, like, a level up. It's a very strange layout sometimes. And so his, like, living room area and kitchen was, like, the, like, second level down. So we all went like down these stairs, and then he like looks around at me and my friend, and there's all these bitches there, like all these people there. He looks around at me and my friend, he's like, right, you two like upstairs. So me and her go upstairs back to his bedroom and end up literally shagging him in his bedroom, having a threesome with him, while like I'm positive that people could hear. Like I'm so positive. But yeah, like shit like that will happen out there where it's just bizarre. Like you just like I remember like coming out and oh my god, wait, another thing actually about him. I ended up singing one of his songs to him while I was drunk. Like that was the only song I could think of at the time. And I remember like singing it to him, and he was like, no. And I was like, yeah, fair. Honestly, I'd fucking hate that shit too. But yeah, there was another instance where I ended up at the fucking house. This is always how it ends up. Let's go to a party. Let's go to Hollywood. Let's party. It sounds so fucking funny, but it's actually so true. Like whenever I watch these like funny videos of this girl on TikTok that like takes the piss out of American girls, like it actually like sounds like it's a over exaggeration, but it's not. Like this friend of mine, she's like, we should go to this party. Like this is his real name. Having a party at his house, like we should go. So I was like, sure, fuck yeah. I was already drunk. I was like, yeah. So we end up going to his house. I'm promised to party, right? So I'm glammed up to the nines. Like we end up at this apartment block in West Hollywood. It's like one of the nicest apartment blocks in West Hollywood. He also has another house, but this was like his apartment. And I'm thinking like, right, party. Like she was like, yeah, loads of people are going to be there. Like I swear she bigged up. And I get there. It's just him, just me, her and him. And I'm like, like I then clock on to being like, right, she just wants to like fuck him, like she's brought me as the buffer. So we walk in, we're like chatting to him, like it's very just a bit like awkward, but he was actually super nice. I will say that he kept doing a British accent to me and taking the piss out of my accent. He's like, oh, Lottie, and I was like, okay, like we get it. I'm like, sometimes I'll be with American people, like I have a lot of American friends. All my friends in LA are American. I don't really have any British friends out there apart from like maybe two, but at the time I only had American friends out there, and they'd all take the piss out my accent, like I was from like a different world, like I was from a different planet. And I'm like, they'd be like, oh, hello dear, and I'm like, and it's never good. That's one thing about American people doing a British accent, it's never good. And so he kept doing this accent. We kind of made a joke out of it. I was really drunk at this point. Like he was, you know, giving us some drinks, like nothing like creepy, like he was really lovely. We ended up playing pool on his pool table, just me, her and him. And I, at one point, picked up his iHeartRadio award and go to him. I go, I'd like to thank my parents. I did a whole acceptance speech with his award to his face. He's like, is this bitch okay? Like, I honestly, I think at this point, I didn't really care, like, what these people's reactions were of me. This is why I was, like, you know, just singing to musicians their music. I don't know how I didn't, like, do that to him, because I truly was outrageous at this point in my life. Like, I was 365 Party Girl by Charlie XCX. Should we do a little key? Should we have a little fun? could have been about me at this point. This night actually gets so much more wild as well. So then, yes, we're playing pool, we're having drinks, we're chatting, we're actually getting along really well. And then they go off to do the business. I don't really know what they did. They just went off. I'm stuck in his living room with his dog, just like patting his dog. I swear to God, this big ass Doberman is sat next to me, and I'm like, all right, I guess so. Like, so I'm just sat there like stroking his dog while my friend's like, I guess, sucking his dick. I don't know. Those are some stories of things that happen out there. But the story why I was banned from there is a more complex one. This was when I was probably going through my like worst phase with like drugs and stuff like that. And I just like, mama wasn't having a good time. And I'd been going out there on an O1 visa. Like I had one from work and stuff, and it had been fine, you know, whatever. And then something had happened where I think it was like COVID had happened. Someone had stolen my passport in Chiltern Firehouse. Fuck you, by the way, to whoever did that. Truly, I wish nothing but the worst for you. And I was living out there at the time. I had to give up my apartment. I had to get rid of my dog and everything because I left her out there. I mean, it was a whole shambles. And I was going back there because somebody had stolen my passport with my visa in it. So I was going back with an Esther. And one time I chose to go back on an Esther. And I get to America, I'm going through the customs. And if anyone's been to customs, like, it is fucking terrifying. Like, you do go through customs and they make you feel like when you get to the front of the thing, they make you feel like you got half a pound of cocaine shoved up your asshole. Like, you feel like you've done something wrong before you even, like, when you see their faces and they, like, call you forward, you're like, oh, this is it. I mean, they're going to find out about every illegal thing I've ever done. Even if you've done nothing wrong, you feel like you have. And they were like, where's your, like, you know, your flight back? And I hadn't got up the flight back, like, because the signal's so shit in that room as well. So I was like, oh, I don't have the flight up. And they were like, right, ma'am, you're gonna have to come with me. And I was like, oh, here we fucking go. And there had been an article, basically. This is where your whole life being online and me exposing my life online has come back to bite me in the fucking ass, because I got to this room and it's basically just like me and a bunch of people that haven't been let in, basically. And the guy, they call you over, basically. It's like loads of like guys sitting there and they have like, you know, computers and stuff, and then they call you over like individually. And I went over and the guy is like, do you know why you're like called? And I was like, no, like a million things came in my head. I was like, oh my God, which one is it? And he goes, we have an article of you smoking a joint. And I was like, no. Showed me this article of me literally smoking a fucking joint. And I was like, it could have been anything, to be quite honest with you. Like, could have been a joint, could have been a cigarette, could have been whatever. Like, it was literally just me smoking a cigarette type thing. Like, with, okay, granted it was for OnlyFans and it was, I think my boobs were out in it, so probably wasn't the best. I think that maybe had something to do with it as well, to be honest, because I was on OnlyFans at the time, and I know that they have a weird thing with OnlyFans. Yeah, so from that he goes, we have a zero drugs tolerance in this country. That's calls coming from inside the house, huh? But like, I just thought that was so crazy. And then I was crying. I was like, oh my God, like, they're not going to let me in. He goes, I'm going to let you in this time, but from now on, you have to state in your visa, like, you've got a drug problem, like, you're a drug abuse. I was like, all from an article of me, which could have been a cigarette. It could have been a joint, could have been a cigarette, could have been anything. It was just bizarre to me. So yeah, from there, I pretty much got banned. And yeah, it's been a tough one since, because I love America and I love the US. Like, she is my home, she is my baby. Like, she has a part of my heart, LA. And not being able to go back at the beginning was so heartbreaking for me. I think maybe it was good for me. When I would go out there, I would act like I was on holiday for like 3 months. So I think being situated just in London instead of going back and forth all the time has been, like, done a world of wonders for me. Like, now that I can't go back, it's better, because if I go back there, like, I'm staying there for 2-3 months. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, I love it out there, and I always will be like, oh, I only go for 2 weeks, and I end up being there for like months. So it's probably a good thing. But yeah, like, I just miss it. I'm like, D Trump, if you're listening, like, let me back in. Not the biggest fan of your work, but let me back in, bro. Like, please. So I am currently trying to get back into America. If anyone's watching this and can help me, if anyone's listening from over there, let me back in, please. I swear to God, like, just give me a chance. Just give me a second chance. I really didn't think that they could like ban you, because I wasn't caught with anything on me. I didn't have any drugs like in my possession. Like I like could have been a cigarette, could have been a joint, could have been anything. Like it was just like, it was one of those things where I was just like, and especially because weed is legal in California, I just didn't think that they'd like pull me up, especially on an article of me. Like it was just a really crazy experience, and like just really sad, because I have so many like good friends out there, and I really miss going out there. But maybe I always think now like everything happens for a reason. Like maybe this happened for a reason. Maybe I'm not meant to be going out there at the moment. Like maybe that's not for me at the moment. But yeah, maybe let's start a petition to get me back in. But yeah, I did a little TikTok, and I know that people were asking about it, so I thought I'd just give a little tea, a little story time. Hoping this doesn't worsen my case in trying to get back in, to be honest with you. USA, I love you. USA, yes, I love you, Donald Trump. I love you guys, love everyone up there. Like, love your work, love everything you do. Literally obsessed. My pathetic attempts at trying to get in right now. I feel like it really feels like an exo that I'm trying to get back with that just like doesn't want me back. Like we're on no contact right now, me in the US. So yeah. Now, bedtime stories. I'll keep this short, no pun intended, but my boyfriend's dick is tiny. And I'm not a size queen. It's just honestly really small. How do I deal with this without embarrassing him? I'm not a size queen. I'm actually dead at that. How do babes? Do you know what I always say? It's not the size, it's what you do with it. The motion in the ocean, honey. If he's good using it, like, I never really think it's about size, because like I've had some big ones and it's been bad. It's like they don't know what the fuck to do. They just think they can just flop on top of you and do fuck all. So yeah, I really don't think it matters. But I mean, if it's that integral and it's like really that bad, like, maybe he's not for you, Hans. Hi, Lottie. I've really struggled to find my personal style since entering my 20s. I feel like I either end up following trends and looking way too young, or sticking to what I'm comfortable with and looking basic. I really want to be able to express myself through clothes and feel like you're always so well dressed. Do you have any advice? I really don't feel like I am that well dressed. Like I feel like I honestly flop sometimes with my outfits. Like I have so many clothes. I have an entire wardrobe of clothes at home, babe. And I literally don't wear any of it. And I'll be there at night, I'll think of an outfit that I have, and I'm like, it's like, oh my God, I wake up and like my eyes were open and I'll go, oh my God, I've got this outfit and I need to wear it, and I never wear it. So I think just experimenting with clothes, like what you should do is pull all your clothes out and then try it with different things, try and experiment. Also, I think what's really good is like looking for your friends for some advice, looking at your friends for some advice, or, you know, like going on inspo pages on Instagram or TikTok, and like just seeing what other creators or influencers pair things together with and stuff, because it is pretty simple. It's just learning to pair things together that you think are cute, and don't let other people tell you what is cute and what isn't cute. Like just wear what you think is cute. If people think it's basic, fuck them. Like wear what you want to wear, truly. Alright, I'm 28 and I got out of a really serious relationship about a year ago. Recently, I've dipped my toes back into the dating scene and had some wild nights out, but after spending the night with someone, I always end up feeling empty, sorry. Truth is, I miss my ex. Should I just bite the bullet and reach out to him and let him know I still think about him, or do I need to just grow up and move on? Grow up and move on, babes. Fuck him. Honestly, like, it depends how it ended, but I honestly just think things always end for a reason. And I know it's really hard, but just because you still think about someone after a breakup doesn't mean you should be getting back with them. In my experience, I think you're always going to miss the person that you were with. If you obviously had a very serious relationship with this person, then you're going to still think about them. You're going to have those thoughts. But I think just get yourself out there, put on a hot outfit and make yourself look sexy. You know what I mean? Like, we all miss our exes at some point. Do you know what I mean? We all miss the thought of what could have been. But I think sometimes it is just a thought of what could have been, if that makes sense. Thank you guys for watching and listening to my outrageous stories. I think this is probably going to be the most outrageous one yet. So yeah, keep following and liking and keep listening and watching. I love you guys. Keep writing in. I love hearing your stories, and peace out.